when Maya Carter, a bright black teen, moves with her ex-Delta Force father David to the wealthy but racially divided town of Brookhaven. They expect a quiet new start but instead face a storm of escalating harassment, whispered slurs and social media taunts in new routes. First open threats in the first cut, hallway showdowns and online leaks in lines drawn, and a chilling administrative cover-up in betrayal in the office, as David uncovers hidden evidence and the school's donors close ranks in tightening the net. The bullies lure Maya to a midnight bonfire where intimidation turns dangerous until David's tactical arrival exposes their plan in Night of Reckoning, leading to a crushing public confrontation with the school board in command presence, and finally, a cathartic assembly, legal action, and the town's public apology in Poetic Justice, where courage, strategy, and truth rewrite the balance of power. The bus hissed to a stop in front of Brookhaven High, its silver sides gleaming under a pale autumn sun. Maya Carter stepped down, sneakers crunching on gravel. Her reflection flickered across the bus window's brown skin, tight curls pulled into a bun, a denim jacket her grandmother had stitched with small, defiant flowers. Her stomach tightened. First days always rough, her father had said that morning, sliding the car keys into his pocket. Observe, don't react. Let them show you who they are. Major David Carter always spoke like a soldier. Even when he was just a dad making oatmeal. Inside the hallway, fluorescent lights buzzed like nervous insects. Students clustered in color-coded packs, football jackets, cheer uniforms, thrift store rebels. Conversations dipped as Maya passed. A few eyes lingered a beat too long. Hey, new girl. A tall blonde leaned against a locker, arms folded. Her smile looked friendly, but the pause before girl sliced like paper. Maya, she answered, voice even. Cool name. Where are you from? Atlanta City girl. Huh. Welcome to the cornfields. A couple of her friends snickered. The sound wasn't cruel enough to call out, but sharp enough to register. Maya forced a polite smile and moved on. At her locker, a boy with a buzz cut brushed past deliberately, shoulder grazing hers. Watch it, she said. He grinned. Relax. Just saying hi. His friends laughed down the hall. Observe. Don't react. She exhaled through her nose and spun the dial on her lock. Third period English brought a brief reprieve. Mr. Thompson, a lanky man in corduroy, waved her toward an empty seat. Class, this is Maya Carter. Let's give her a warm Brookhaven welcome. The welcome came as a few scattered claps and one exaggerated yeehaw from the back. Maya sat, cheeks heating. The girl beside her whispered, ignored them. They're idiots. Maya glanced over. Soft brown eyes, an oversized hoodie. Thanks, she murmured. I'm Ellie, the girl added. If anyone messes with you, tell me. I know where they hide the good vending machine snacks. A small smile tugged at Maya's lips. Deal lunch was less friendly. The cafeteria smelled of pizza grease and bleach. She carried her tray, scanning for Ellie, when a voice floated over the din. New girls, brave walking in like she owns the place. Maya turned. The blonde from the hallway sat with a cluster of athletes, eyes locked on her. Chill, Brittany, someone said, laughing. Brittany tilted her head. What? I'm just welcoming her. The table chuckled. Maya felt heat creep up her neck but spotted Ellie waving from a corner table. She walked toward her, each step heavy but deliberate. That evening, David Carter watched his daughter push peas around her plate. Quiet day? He asked. Not really, Maya said. He set down his fork. Talk to me. She hesitated. Just little things. Nothing big. Little things build walls, he said gently. What happened? Comments, stares, nothing I couldn't handle. David studied her. Years of covert missions had trained him to read micro-expressions, tiny flickers of truth. You handled it, he agreed, but you don't have to handle it alone. Maya met his eyes. I'm not weak. Not saying you are. Strength also means letting people back you up. He leaned forward. Remember your 3 rules. Maya rolled her eyes, but recited them. Observe, document, tell you good. He smiled faintly. Observation keeps you safe. Documentation builds proof. And telling me, his gaze sharpened, means I act only when necessary. Maya rested her chin on her palm. You make high school sound like a mission. It is, he said. Different terrain, same strategy. She almost laughed, but his eyes stayed serious. Later, Maya sat by her bedroom window, notebook opened. Outside, the small town lay quiet under a wash of moonlight. She jotted quick notes. Hallway stairs, Britain in your buzzcut, shoulder check, yeehaw in English. Each word felt like both shield and burden. Downstairs, David moved silently through the living room, phone in hand. A message pinged from a former teammate. "How's civilian life treating you, Major?" He typed back, "Peaceful enough, for now." But his jaw tightened as he recalled the flicker of unease in Maya's eyes. Peace was never permanent, and David Carter had never been one to wait for trouble to knock. The next morning, Maya approached her locker with a cautious rhythm, sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. The hallway smelled faintly of cleaning chemicals and old textbooks. She paused. Her lock hung twisted, the dial bent sideways. Across the metal door, thick black marker screamed, "Go back." Her breath caught. A few students slowed, pretending to rummage in their bags while their eyes devoured the scene. Someone snorted. Another whispered savage, like it was a compliment. Maya clenched her jaw, forcing her voice steady. "Who did this?" No answer, just the creak of sneakers retreating. Ellie appeared at her side, eyes widening. "Oh my God, Maya." "It's fine," Maya said automatically, though her chest burned. "I'll clean it." Ellie shook her head. "No, this isn't fine. We need to tell someone." Inside the main office, the air smelled of coffee and stale paper. Principal Harlan, a broad man with a politician's smile, glanced up from his computer. "Yes, ladies." Maya placed her ruined lock on the desk. "Someone vandalized my locker." Harlan barely looked at it. "Kids pull pranks. Any idea who?" "No," Maya said. "But it's racist. It says go back." Harlan sighed as if she'd handed him a late homework slip. "High school can be cruel. We discourage graffiti, of course, but unless we have proof," Ellie interrupted. "You have cameras, right?" The principal's smile tightened. "Those cameras are for emergencies. We can't just pull footage every time there's marker on a locker." "It's not just marker," Ellie said, voice rising. "It's a hate message." Harlan's tone cool. "I understand you feel that way, but let's not exaggerate. I'll have the custodian clean it up. Now, off to class." Maya felt the dismissal like a door slamming. "Thank you for your time," she said stiffly, turning to leave. Ellie whispered, "He didn't even let's go." Maya cut her off, her voice flat. By lunchtime, the story had mutated. As Maya entered the cafeteria, a burst of laughter erupted from a table near the windows. Phones flashed. On one screen, a photo of her vandalized locker spread like wildfire. "Guess she didn't get the welcome basket." That Brittany sat at the center, thumbs dancing across her phone. "Cute picture, huh?" she called. Maya walked straight past her. Each step felt like balancing on a wire over open air. Ellie trailed behind. "Do you want me to?" "No," Maya said. "Not here." They sat in a corner. Ellie's hands trembled around her soda. "This is messed up. My mom's on the school board." "She don't," Maya said sharply, then softened. "I appreciate it. I just need to think." That evening, Maya hunched over the kitchen table, sketching math problems that refused to stay in focus. Her father entered silently, a shadow of controlled power, in a gray t-shirt. "Observation report?" he asked. Maya looked up, startled. "It's not a mission, Dad." His eyes remained steady. "It's harassment." "Tell me." She hesitated, then exhaled. "Someone wrote, 'Go back' on my locker." Principal acted like it was a prank, and someone posted a photo. David's jaw flexed. "Did you document it?" "I took a picture before they cleaned it." He sat across from her. "This isn't small, Maya, I know, but if I make a scene, they'll just say I'm overreacting." "Silence protects them," he said quietly. "Not you." She dropped her gaze. "What am I supposed to do?" "Rule 2, he reminded. "Document, always. And remember, racism hides behind politeness. They'll call it a joke, a misunderstanding, but patterns reveal truth." Maya swallowed. "So what's rule 3? You swoop in with Delta Force." A flicker of grim humor touched his eyes. "Only when necessary. Right now, you stay sharp. You gather evidence, and you don't let them decide who you are." For a moment neither spoke. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a dog barked in the cooling dusk. Finally, David said, "I'll be at the range early tomorrow. You want to join?" Maya blinked. "The shooting range. It teaches focus." He stood. "Control your breathing. Control the outcome." She almost smiled. "Most dads just bake cookies." "I don't bake," he said, a shadow of a grin crossing his face. "But I protect." Later that night, Maya lay awake, phone glowing faintly on the nightstand. The photo of her locker stared back at her from an anonymous account. Comments scrolled beneath. "Lol savage. Someone had to say it. Bet she cries in the bathroom." Her thumb hovered over the report button. Instead, she opened her notes app and began to type, fingers steady despite the knot in her chest. Day 2. Locker vandalized. Principal dismissive. Brittany likely source of photo. She hit save, locked the phone, and whispered into the dark, observe, document, tell Dad. Friday's sky sagged heavy with gray clouds, the kind that pressed down on the small town like an unfinished thought. Maya moved through the hallway with calculated calm, notebook clutched tight. Every creak of sneakers behind her sounded like a dare. Ellie caught up, breathing hard. They posted again, same account, a video this time. Maya stiffened. What video? Ellie lowered her voice. You walking to class yesterday. They added captions. Ugly stuff. Show me. Ellie hesitated. You don't need to see it, Ellie. Maya's tone cut sharper than she meant. With a sigh, Ellie handed over her phone. On screen, a shaky clip showed Maya crossing the quad, backpack slung over one shoulder. A text overlay flashed. Queen of the plantation, followed by a laughing emoji. Maya's stomach flipped. The comments rolled below thumbs up icons, laughing faces, a few crude slurs. She returned the phone. Face unreadable. Save the link. Screenshot everything. Ellie blinked. That's it. That's rule 2. Maya forced a thin smile. Document. Gym class smelled of sweat and varnish. Coach Daniels barked instructions for a game of capture the flag. Teams scattered across the field behind the school. The late morning, air damp and restless. Maya jogged toward the far fence, eyes scanning for the red fabric flag. A sudden shift of footsteps closed in behind her. Hey, new girl, a voice called. She turned. Brittany stood 10 feet away, flanked by 2 football players and a lanky boy with a buzz cut. They fanned out like a practiced formation. Maya's pulse kicked up. You need something. Brittany's smile was sugar-coated venom. Just a chat. The buzz-cut boy twirled the red flag like a trophy. You're fast, he said. City training. Move, Maya said evenly. Relax, Brittany purred. We're welcoming you. Thought we'd give you a special rule. Brookhaven's a friendly town if you stay in your lane. Meaning? Maya asked. Meaning? Brittany stepped closer. Don't act like you own the place. Maya held her ground. I don't. I'm just trying to learn math and pass gym. The tall linebacker snorted. Maybe start with manners. Maya's voice cut through the damp air. Maybe start with decency. For a beat, no one spoke. Then Brittany leaned in, whispering just loud enough for the wind to carry. People like you should remember where they came from. Ellie's voice sliced through the tension. Coach is calling for the flag. Brittany, you planning to hide it all day? The group turned. Ellie stood a few yards away, phone raised, camera already recording. Buzzcut cursed. Put that down. Ellie's thumb hovered over the screen. Live stream. Say hi. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Brittany's face. Whatever, she said, tossing the flag onto the grass. Let's play, boys. They retreated with forced laughter. But the threat lingered like static in the air. Maya exhaled slowly. Thanks. Ellie lowered the phone. I wasn't about to let them corner you alone. They already did, Maya said softly. You just broke the formation. That evening, David Carter listened in silence as Maya recounted every word at the kitchen table. Her notebook lay open. Neat handwriting cataloging the incident like a mission report. Good documentation. He said finally, Did you feel unsafe? Yes, Maya admitted, but I didn't back down. Pride won't keep you safe, David warned. I know, but if I run, they win. David studied, her measured assessing. They escalated to physical proximity. Next comes entrapment. That's a pattern. Maya frowned. Entrapment. They'll try to isolate you where adults can't intervene, he said. A shed, a parking lot, anywhere cameras don't reach. Ellie shifted uncomfortably in her chair. David had invited her to stay for dinner after she insisted on filing a joint statement. Isn't that a little extreme? Ellie asked. David's gaze stayed level. I've seen enough patterns to know escalation when I hear it. This isn't random teenage drama. It's coordinated. Maya crossed her arms. So what do we do? Rule 1, David said. Observe. Rule 2, document. Rule 3, tell me before they make the next move. He tapped the notebook. You did the first 2. Now we act. Ellie swallowed. Act how? David offered no details, only a steady look that made the air feel heavier. Strategically, he said. Later, as Maya brushed her teeth, she caught her own reflection in the mirror. The girl staring back looked the same brown skin, steady eyes, but something in the set of her jaw had sharpened. Downstairs, David sat in the dim living room, phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, precise. This is Carter. I need a favor. Pulling some data from a school network. Yes, quietly, a pause. Thanks, brother. Send it to the secure drive. He ended the call and stared into the dark. The line had been drawn. The next move would not belong to the bullies. Monday morning arrived wrapped in brittle sunshine, the kind that looked cheerful but felt cold. Maya walked into the main office with Ellie at her side, carrying a neatly typed incident report, her notebook of evidence, photos of the graffiti, screenshots of the video, timestamps rested under her arm like a shield. Principal Harlan greeted them with a smile, too polished to be real. Ladies, back again. Maya laid the report on his desk. We're filing an official complaint. Racial harassment. Ongoing. Harlan's eyes flicked over the pages. That's quite a document. Ellie crossed her arms. It's called evidence. Of course, Harlan said smoothly, but we prefer to handle conflicts informally. Keeps things constructive. Maya kept her voice level. Informal hasn't worked. The posts keep coming. Harlan leaned back, fingers steepled. Have you considered that posting screenshots might escalate tensions? Sometimes ignoring is the wiser path. Ellie's jaw dropped, so she should just take it. I'm suggesting de-escalation, Harlan said. No one wants to see young lives ruined over misunderstandings. Maya felt her stomach twist. Misunderstandings. Someone wrote a racial slur on my locker, she said. Someone followed me and posted a video calling me property. That's not a misunderstanding. The principal's smile faltered for a heartbeat, then returned. I'll speak with the guidance counselor and see what we can do. In the meantime, let's avoid inflaming social media. His tone ended the conversation before it began. The guidance counselor's office smelled faintly of lavender and copier toner. Ms. Simmons, a soft-spoken woman with neat braids and tired eyes, motioned for Maya to sit. I'm so sorry you're going through this, she began, but I need to be honest. Some of the parents involved, they have influence. Board members, donors. It complicates disciplinary action. Maya stiffened. So nothing happens because their parents write checks. I didn't say that, Simmons said quickly. I just want you safe. Sometimes compromise protects you more than confrontation, Ellie muttered. Protects the school, you mean? Simmons lowered her voice. I'll do what I can behind the scenes, but be careful who you trust. That afternoon, David Carter received a call at work. Mr. Carter, this is Ms. Simmons from Brookhaven High. I wanted to reassure you, we're aware of the situation. David's tone stayed calm. And what corrective action is the school taking? We're exploring options, she said, but confidentiality limits what I can share. David let a beat of silence stretch. Understood. Thank you for your concern. He ended the call and immediately opened a secure folder on his laptop. The metadata from the anonymous account pulled by an old Delta teammate blinked on his screen. An IP address, a name, a home router belonging to one of Brookhaven's wealthiest families. David's eyes hardened. 2 days later, Maya entered the office to find Ms. Simmons waiting with an apologetic smile. Good news, the counselor said softly. The administration believes a resolution is near. They're planning a meeting with the parents. That's fast, Maya said, suspicion stirring. Sometimes diplomacy moves quietly, Simmons said. But for now, please keep details between us. No more posts, no more screenshots. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, outside in the hallway, Ellie whispered. Something's off. Why this sudden hush? Maya didn't answer. A strange unease crawled beneath her skin. That evening, David closed his laptop as Maya recounted the day. They want silence, she said. Like if I stop talking, it goes away. They're buying time, David said flatly. For what? To cover their tracks. Maya's eyes widened. You think Simmons is lying? Not lying, David corrected. Compromised. If those parents have money, they'll pressure the school to bury the evidence. He slid a printed page across the table. A name and IP address glared up at her. Brittany's father, David said. Local developer. Big donor. His home network hosted the first upload. Maya's breath caught. How did you? Observation, he said. Documentation, contacts. Ellie stared. You hacked the account. David's gaze held steady. I gathered public data. Nothing illegal, but enough to prove the source if needed. Maya looked from the paper to her father's calm eyes. What now? Now, David said, voice low and certain. We let them make their next move, and when they do, we'll be ready. Thursday arrived with a brittle chill that clung to the air like static. Maya stepped off the bus to find the quad buzzing with a strange energy, whispers darting from locker to locker. Quick glances that slid away when she looked back. Ellie intercepted her near the cafeteria. Something's brewing, she said. eyes darting. I overheard Tyler Boo's cut talking about a bonfire this weekend. He said she won't see it coming. Maya frowned. A bonfire, like a party, more like a trap, Ellie said. They called it a welcome party. Her fingers worried the strap of her backpack. They want you there. Maya's stomach tightened. Why would I ever show up? Exactly, which is why I'm worried. They sounded excited, like they've already planned something. That evening, Maya relayed everything at the kitchen table, notebook open like an evidence file. David listened without interrupting, eyes narrowing at each detail. They're escalating, he said finally. Moving from public humiliation to a private event, what do we do? Maya asked. David tapped the table. A slow, deliberate rhythm. We gather intel before they act. No confrontation until we know their plan. Ellie hesitated. How do we get intel? They don't exactly send invitations. David's gaze sharpened. Actually, they do. Digital ones. He rose and disappeared into his study. When he returned, he carried a slim black laptop and a small external antenna. Dad, Maya said, half exasperated, half impressed. Are you about to spy? Observation, David corrected. Not spying. Monitoring open networks is legal, Ellie whispered. This is so mission impossible. David gave a thin smile, more like mission necessary. Within an hour, David had accessed the school's public Wi-Fi logs. A trick, he insisted, required nothing more than creative routing. Lines of data scrolled across the screen. User handles, chat groups, timestamps. There, he said, pointing. Group chat labeled Friday Blaze. Maya leaned closer. Messages popped in real time. Tyler, 8 p.m. at Miller's Field. Bring rope. Brittany, got the drinks. Make sure she shows. Connor, text her fake invite tomorrow. Brittany, I'll handle it. Time to teach City Girl a lesson. Maya's breath caught. Rope. Ellie's voice cracked. They're planning to. David held up a hand. Don't jump to conclusions. Could be for tents or firewood. His eyes, however, told a different story. Either way, they intend to isolate you. Maya gripped the edge of the table. We have to call the police. Not yet, David said. We need them caught in the act. A report without evidence becomes he said, she said, but with proof, there's no escape. Ellie's voice trembled. So, what's the plan? David closed the laptop with quiet finality. We let them think they're winning. Maya, tomorrow you'll receive an invitation. You'll accept. What? Maya nearly jumped from her chair. You can't be serious. Acceptance gives us leverage, David explained. They'll reveal more details, more messages. I'll be there before you, around you, everywhere they don't expect. Maya shook her head. This isn't a mission, it's my life. That's exactly why I won't let them dictate it, David said, voice low but unyielding. You trust me. After a long pause, Maya whispered, yes, then follow the plan. The next day, Brittany struck like clockwork. She approached Maya during lunch. A sugary smile stretched across her face. Hey, Brittany said, voice dripping false warmth. We're throwing a bonfire tomorrow night, kind of a senior tradition. We'd love for you to come. Maya forced a neutral expression. Where? Miller's Field, 8 o'clock. Everyone will be there. Brittany leaned in. It's a chance to start fresh. Maybe, Maya said. I'll think about it. Brittany's eyes glittered. Do. It'll be unforgettable. As Brittany walked away, Ellie whispered, she's practically villain cackling. Maya managed a tight smile. Step 1, invitation received. That evening, David gathered them in the living room, a tactical calm radiating from his posture. Step 2, he said, is surveillance. I'll have eyes on the field before they arrive. You two will stay together at all times. Ellie, you're her visible ally. I'll be invisible. Invisible how? Ellie asked. David allowed the faintest smile. Trade secret, Maya exhaled slowly. And if they try something, they won't get the chance, David said. But if they do, I'll be there before they blink. Ellie looked between father and daughter. This is terrifyingly comforting. David turned to Maya. Remember the rules. Observe, document, tell you, Maya recited. And tonight, he added. Add one more. Trust the perimeter. Friday night settled over the town like a coiled shadow. From her bedroom window, Maya watched her father load a black duffel bag into the trunk of his SUV. He caught her gaze and gave a brief nod, half reassurance, half silent command. Ellie texted, on my way. We've got this. Maya replied with a single word, ready. But as she slipped on her jacket, a tremor ran through her. Not fear exactly, something sharper, colder, the knowledge that tomorrow's darkness might finally reveal the full face of the hatred stalking her. Downstairs, David checked the time. His expression carved from steel. Operation had begun. The night smelled of damp earth and smoke. Maya and Ellie followed a narrow dirt trail through the trees, their flashlight beams slicing across tall grass and fallen branches. In the distance, faint music thumped a bass line that pulsed like a heartbeat. Ellie tightened her scarf. I still can't believe we're doing this. Neither can I, Maya admitted. But Dad said it's part of the plan. Your dad is terrifyingly calm for someone whose kid is walking into a trap. Maya's phone buzzed. A single text from her father flashed across the screen. Perimeter set. I see you. Stay on path. Relief mixed with adrenaline. He was already here. The clearing opened like a dark mouth around a blazing bonfire. Sparks leaped into the black sky, carrying the scent of charred wood. Clusters of students laughed too loudly, the glow of phones flickering like fireflies. Brittany stood near the flames, a halo of golden hair catching the light. Tyler and the other boys lingered behind her, shadows with smirks. Well, Brittany called. The guest of honor arrives. Maya forced her shoulders straight. You invited me. I came. Brave, Brittany said, eyes glittering. Or stupid. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Tyler stepped forward, spinning a length of rope like a lasso. Thought we'd play a little game, he said. The rope's end slapped against his palm, a lazy, deliberate sound. Ellie grabbed Maya's sleeve. Don't. Maya's heart hammered, but her voice stayed steady. Games require consent. Relax, Tyler drawled. It's just for fun. City girl initiation. Brittany tilted her head, smiling like a cat with a cornered bird. All you have to do is stand still while you what? The deep, controlled voice cut through the clearing like a blade. Heads turned. David Carter emerged from the tree line. Black jacket blending with the night. He moved with a quiet precision that made the air itself shift. No one had heard him approach. Who the hell? Tyler began. David's eyes locked on him, cold and unblinking. Put the rope down, Tyler scoffed, but his grip faltered. It's just a party, man. Parties don't involve rope and threats, David said. His voice carried a calm authority that silenced the murmurs. Brittany recovered first. Who are you? You can't just. I'm her father, David said, and I can do whatever is necessary to keep her safe. The bonfire cracked, sending sparks into the stunned silence. David stepped forward, gaze sweeping the circle. Everyone here is a witness. This is harassment, possibly a hate crime. I suggest you think very carefully before speaking. A few students shifted uneasily, phones lowering. One girl muttered, I didn't sign up for this, and backed away. Brittany tried for bravado. You can't prove anything. David reached into his jacket and produced a small device no larger than a key fob. Actually, I can. Every word you've spoken tonight is recorded. Live feed, off-site storage. Gasps rippled through the group. Bull, Tyler snapped. Daughter tapped a device. A crisp playback echoed into the clearing. Bring rope. Time to teach City Girl a lesson. Tyler's face drained of color. David's eyes never left him. Care to explain? Brittany's voice wavered. It was a joke. A joke with rope. David's tone hardened. That's not a joke. That's a threat. Blue and red lights flashed suddenly through the trees. Two sheriff's deputies stepped into the clearing, their radios crackling. Evening, the taller deputy said, scanning the group. Got a call about a disturbance. David's expression didn't change. I'm the caller. My daughter was lured here under false pretenses. I have digital evidence of planned harassment. Brittany's jaw dropped. You called the cops before you even came. Contingency planning, David said simply. The deputy took the recording device. We'll need statements. Gladly, David replied. Students scattered like startled birds. Some tried to slip away, but the deputies ordered them to stay until names were logged. Brittany's voice cracked. My dad's on the school board. He'll what? David asked quietly. Erase the evidence. Good luck. Tyler muttered something about lawyers, but his eyes stayed fixed on the rope dangling uselessly from his hand. Maya exhaled a breath she hadn't realized. She was holding. Her father placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. You okay? He asked softly. She nodded, though her heart still raced. How long were you here? Since you texted ready, he said. Perimeter secured before you arrived. Ellie shook her head in disbelief. You're like Batman with a military pension. David almost smiled. Just a parent who refuses to lose. As deputies escorted Brittany, Tyler, and the others toward their cruisers, The crowd thinned to a handful of silent witnesses. The bonfire hissed and cracked, sending up a shower of sparks that looked almost like falling stars. Maya watched Brittany disappear into the flashing lights. Part of her wanted to feel triumphant, but another part felt only the heavy weight of what almost happened. David sensed her unease. "It's okay to feel conflicted," he said quietly. "Justice isn't joy, it's balance." Maya looked up at him. "Will they actually face consequences?" "They will tonight," David said, "and tomorrow, we make sure the rest follows." He guided her toward the trail, Ellie close behind. The night air felt sharper now, cleaner, as though the forest itself had been waiting for someone to break the cycle. Behind them, the bonfire sputtered, sending its last sparks into the cold sky. Morning sunlight cut across the Brookhaven High parking lot like a blade. Reporters had already gathered, microphones poised, their vans lined up like chess pieces. News of the bonfire incident spread overnight, photos, shaky videos, and snippets of David's confrontation racing through social media. Maya stepped out of her father's truck, the chill biting through her sleeves. Ellie jogged to catch up. "Half the state's probably seen that video," she whispered. David scanned the scene. Every movement precise, controlled. "Good," he said. "Sunlight is the best disinfectant." Inside, Principal Harlan waited in the main office, his tie perfectly knotted but his eyes uneasy. "Mr. Carter," he began, forcing a smile, "this situation has escalated beyond the school's control." David met his gaze, calm but unyielding. "It escalated because you failed to act when evidence was presented." Harlan cleared his throat. "We must balance discipline with community relations. Balance ends where safety begins." David interrupted. "Your duty is to protect students, not donors." The principal faltered. Around them, staff members pretended to busy themselves with paperwork. A conference room door opened. Inside sat 2 sheriff's deputies, the county superintendent, and a school board representative, suited woman whose expression suggested she was used to winning. David entered without hesitation. "Let's begin," he said. The superintendent gestured for everyone to sit. "Mr. Cotter, we appreciate your cooperation. We're all here to ensure a fair process." David's eyes stayed level. "Fairness is not the same as secrecy." The board representative spoke first. "We're concerned about the narrative forming online. Words like hate crime carry serious implications." "They carry accurate implications," David replied. "Your students planned an ambush involving a rope. Intent matters." A deputy nodded. "The recording confirms threats. Juvenile charges are being processed." The board members' smile thinned. "Their families are influential. We'd prefer internal mediation." David leaned forward, voice low but sharp. "Influence does not override the law. My daughter will not be a footnote in someone else's PR strategy." The room fell silent. Maya sat at the far end of the table, fingers gripping her notebook. She watched her father navigate the meeting with the same quiet authority he had used in the clearing each word measured, each pause deliberate. Harlan finally spoke. "What resolution do you seek, Mr. Carter?" "Transparency," David said. "Written acknowledgement of the incident, permanent disciplinary records, mandatory diversity training for staff and students, and a public statement condemning racial harassment." The board representative blinked. "That's extensive." "It's minimal," David countered. "Or we proceed with civil action and federal complaint filings. Your choice." The deputy cleared his throat. "Given the evidence, I'd advise cooperation." Outside the conference room, students clustered in nervous groups. Some avoided Maya's eyes. Others offered tentative nods of support. Ellie leaned close. "They're scared of your dad, and kind of impressed." Maya managed a small smile. "He doesn't bluff." From down the hall, Brittany's parents arrived, designer coats, practiced frowns. Their daughter trailed behind, eyes rimmed red, no longer glowing with arrogance. Maya's stomach twisted. She had imagined this moment 100 times, expecting triumph, but watching Brittany shrink beside her parents brought only a dull ache. David noticed her hesitation. "Compassion doesn't cancel accountability," he murmured. An hour later, the superintendent returned with a printed statement. "The board agrees to disciplinary action, written acknowledgement, and a public condemnation of harassment. The sheriff's department will handle the criminal aspect." David read each line carefully before nodding. "Acceptable." Harlan exhaled as though a weight had been lifted, but David's eyes stayed hard. "Understand this. My daughter's dignity is not negotiable. This is the beginning of change, not the end." The board member offered a stiff handshake. "We'll be in touch." David didn't take it. Follow through first. On the walk back to the truck, Maya finally released the breath she'd been holding. You were incredible, she said softly. David gave a faint smile. Not incredible, prepared. Ellie grinned. You're like a real-life action hero. David shook his head. Heroes react. Professionals plan. He opened the truck door for Maya. Remember this, both of you. Power isn't about noise. It's about evidence, patience, and precision. That evening, local news aired the story. Brookhaven High confronts racial harassment allegations. Clips of David's calm, measured statements played over footage of deputies escorting students away from the bonfire. Across town, families who once whispered about overreactions watched in silence. The rope that was meant to intimidate had become a symbol of the school's reckoning. In their living room, Maya sat beside her father as the broadcast ended. They're calling you a hero, she said. David looked at her, eyes softening. I'm just your dad, and we don't wait for heroes when we can be our own defense. Maya leaned against his shoulder, a quiet strength settling between them. For the first time since arriving in Brookhaven, the night felt safe. The following Friday, the auditorium of Brookhaven High, filled with restless students, teachers, and a handful of reporters. The school board had called an emergency assembly, an unprecedented move that buzzed through the halls like electricity. Maya stood backstage with Ellie, palms damp. David waited just behind them, silent and steady. His presence felt like a fortress. Principal Harlan stepped to the podium, clearing his throat. Students, faculty, and community members, he began, we gathered today to address a serious matter that has shaken our school. His voice carried the usual polished calm, but his hands betrayed a faint tremor. Last weekend, Harlan continued, an incident occurred involving harassment of a racially motivated nature. The actions of a few have brought harm to one of our own and shame to this institution. Let me be clear, Brookhaven High condemns racism in all forms. A hush swept the room. The words, carefully crafted, publicly recorded, landed with a weight that could not be undone. After Harlan finished, the superintendent approached the microphone. Disciplinary measures have been enacted, she announced. Several students face suspension and criminal charges. Moving forward, the district will implement mandatory diversity and sensitivity training, along with an anonymous reporting system for harassment. The students shifted uneasily. No one clapped, but the silence felt different. Now an acknowledgement, a reckoning. Backstage, Maya exhaled shakily. They actually said the words, she whispered. David's eyes softened. Words are only step one, but it's a start. Later that afternoon, news crews set up outside the school. A camera crew caught Brittany's parents leaving the building, their expressions drawn tight. Their once prized daughter now faced public scrutiny and a court date. The rope that had been meant for intimidation had become a symbol of their downfall. Ellie nudged Maya as they watched from a distance. Feels like karma showed up early. Maya gave a faint, complicated smile. I don't hate her, she said quietly. I hate what she chose to believe. David overheard and nodded. Compassion isn't weakness, it's clarity. But compassion doesn't cancel consequences. That evening, the Carters' living room glowed with the soft light of a single lamp. The television replayed footage from the assembly, Harlan's public condemnation, the superintendent's reforms, the scrolling ticker of upcoming charges. Ellie sat cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Social media's on fire, she reported. Half the comments are supportive, the other half are learning. Maya leaned against her father. Do you think it'll really change anything? David considered the question. Change is slow, he said, but exposure forces accountability. They can't hide behind silence anymore. He looked at her, voice gentle but firm. You stood your ground. You told the truth. That's how change begins. Maya felt a quiet strength settle over her. For weeks she had carried the weight of fear and isolation. Now the weight was shared by the community, by the headlines, by those who had once turned away. 2 days later, Maya received an unexpected message request on her phone. Brittany, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't know why I went along with it. I'm sorry. Maya stared at the screen. Ellie peered over her shoulder. You gonna reply? After a long pause, Maya typed back. Accountability first, then maybe we talk. She hit send and set the phone aside. For the first time, she felt in control of her own story. Sunday afternoon, David took Maya and Ellie to a quiet park on the edge of town. Golden leaves drifted down in the crisp autumn air. They sat on a wooden bench overlooking a small lake where ducks glided in lazy circles. This place is peaceful, Maya said. David nodded. Peace isn't absence of conflict, it's presence of justice. Ellie grinned. That sounds like a fortune cookie. David chuckled softly. Then let's hope it comes true. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the ripples spread across the water. The next week, Maya returned to school. Hallways that once felt hostile now buzzed with cautious respect. Some students offered quiet greetings, others looked away, uneasy in their own guilt. But no one dared whisper slurs or leave threats. Maya walked with steady steps, each footfall a small victory. When she reached her locker, a folded note rested on the door. Inside was a single sentence. You are seen. You are not alone. No signature, just solidarity. She smiled, tucked the note into her binder, and closed the locker with a firm click. That night, David watched from the porch as the sun dipped below the horizon. The town's quiet streets glowed in amber twilight. He thought of the nights spent planning, gathering evidence, anticipating every angle. His training had taught him strategy. Fatherhood had taught him resolve. Maya stepped outside, joining him in the cool evening air. Thinking, she asked. Always, he said with a small smile. About what? About how courage spreads, David said. One person stands, others follow. That's how justice grows. Maya leaned against the railing, the stars beginning to prick the sky. Thanks, Dad, she said softly, for everything. David wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Always, he replied. You are never alone. They stood together in the quiet night, the weight of recent battles lifting, replaced by something steadier, a truth stronger than fear, louder than hate. Justice had begun, and it carried their names,